with my prayers. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chevam Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jaya Mudirate Nashte Prayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavate Sevaya Bhagavate Uttam Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Nashtike. Hare Krishna, all devotees. Please accept my humble obeisances. Today we are reading from chapter 13, Canto 4, chapter 13, further talks between King Raguna and Jada Bharata. Today we will be reading from verse 14 to 26. Text, text 14. My dear king, on the forest path of material life, first a person is bereft of his father and mother, and after their death he comes attached to his newly born children. In this way, he wanders on the path of material progress, is eventually embarrassed. Nonetheless, no one knows how to get out of this, even up to the moment of death. Text 15. There were and are many political and social heroes who have conquered enemies of equal power. Yet, due to their ignorance in believing that the land is theirs, they fight one another and lay down their lives in battle. They are not able to take up the spiritual path accepted by those in the renounced order. Although they are big heroes and political leaders, they cannot take to this path of spiritual realization. Text 16. Sometimes the living entity in the forest of material existence takes shelter of creeper and desires to hear the creeping of the bird in those creepers. Being afraid of roaring lions in the forest, he makes friends with cranes, herons, and vultures. Text 17.
Sorry,
Being,
Prabhuji.
being cheated by them, the living entity in the forest of the material world tries to give up the association of these so-called yogis, swamis, and incarnation, and come to the association of real devotees. But due to misfortune, he cannot follow the instruction of the spiritual master or advanced devotee. Therefore, he gives up their company and again return to the association of monkeys who are simply interested in sense gratification and women's. He derives satisfaction by associating with sense gratifier and enjoying sex and intoxication. In this way, he spoils his life simply by indulging in sex and intoxication. Looking into the face of other sense gratifier, he becomes forgetful and thus approaches death. Text 18. When the living entity becomes exactly like a monkey jumping from one branch to another, he remains in the tree of household life without any profit but sex. Thus he is kicked by his wife just like the he is unable to gain release. He remain helplessly in that position. Sometimes he falls victim to an incurable disease, which is like falling into a mountain cave. He become afraid of death, which is like the elephant in the back of that cave, and he remains stranded, grasping at the twigs and branches of a creeper. Text 19. O killer of enemies, Maharaj Rahugana, if the conditioned soul somehow or other gets out of his dangerous position, he again returns to his home to enjoy sex life. For this is the way of attachment. Thus, under the spell of the Lord material energy, he continued to loiter in the forest of material existence. He does not discover his real interest even at the point of death. Text 20. My dear King Raguna, you are also a victim of external energy being situated on the path of attraction to material pleasure, so that you may become an equal friend to all living entities. I now advise you to give up your kingly position and the rod by which you punish criminals. Give up attraction to to the sense object and take up to the sword of knowledge sharpened by devotional service, then you will be able to cut the hard knot of illusionary energy and cross to other side of the ocean of new sense. Text 21. King Raguna said, the birth as a human being is the best of all. Even birth among the demigod in the heavenly planets is not as glorious as birth as a human being on this earth. What is the use of exalted position of a demigods in the heavenly planet due to profound material comfort? There is no possibility of associating with the devotees. Text 22. It is not at all wonderful that simply by seeing covered by the dust of your lotus feet, one immediately attain the platform of pure devotional service to Adokshaja, which is not available even to the great demigod like Brahma. By associating with you just for a moment, I am now freed from all argument, false prestige, and lack of discrimination, which are the root of entanglement in the material world. Now I am free from all these problems. Text 23. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the great personality, whether they walk on the earth's surface as children, young boy, avadutas, or great brahmanas. Even if they are hidden under different guise, I offer my respects to all of them. By their mercy, may there be good fortune in the royal dynasty that are always offering them. Text 24. Srila Sukdev Goswami continued, my dear king, O son of Mother Uttara, there were some waves of dissatisfaction in the mind of Jada Bharata due to his being insulted by King Raguna, who made him carry his palanquin by Jada Bharata neglected this, and his heart again became calm and quiet like an ocean. Although King Raguna had insulted him, he was a great Paramhansa. Being a Vaishnava, he was naturally very kind-hearted, and he therefore told the king about the constitutional position of the soul. He then forgot the insult become because King Raguna pitifully begged pardon at his lotus feet. After this, he began to wander all over the earth just as before. Text 25. After receiving lessons from the great devotee Jada Bharata, King Raguna of the state of Sauvir became completely aware of the constitutional position of the soul. He thus gave up the bodily conception completely. My dear king, whoever takes shelter of the servant of the Lord is certainly glorified because he can without difficulty give up the bodily conception. Text 26. King Parikshit then told Sukdev Goswami, my dear Lord, O great devotee sage, you are omniscient. You have very nicely described the position of the conditioned soul, who is compared to a merchant in the forest. From these instructions, intelligent man can understand that the sense of a person in the bodily conception are like rogue and thieves in that forest, and one's wife and children are like jackals and other furious animals. However, it is not very easy for the unintelligent to understand the purport of this story because it is difficult to extricate the exact meaning from the allegory. I therefore request your holiness to give the direct meaning. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji.
Yeah, Hare Krishna.
Oh, Hare Krishna, Sri Krishna Das Prabhuji. Dandat Pranam. Please take over the call, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, Radharani Mataji. Thank you, Pratyush Prabhu, for reading the translation today. Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Chananda Gopakumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha Vairagya Vidya Nija Bhakti Yogam Sikshashtamekam Purusha Puranam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Sariradari Krupambadir Tamaham Prapadye Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. So today we are seeing this chapter where King Rahugana is being further elaborated here by Jad Bharat. So In the previous chapter, in the chapter 12, we have seen how Jadubharat kind of gives a background about who he was and his previous life, and he gives him the essence about how to lead the life and come out of the this material existence. So he basically asks Raghuna to take the dust of pure devotees and sprinkle on his head and associate with exalted devotees, and with knowledge and detachment. One can come out of this illusory associations in this material world. So basically, he is recommending the direct devotional service of Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, all the 9 processes of bhakti. So now, in this chapter, Jadbharat is further elaborating the great dangers of material world, how it is so dangerous, and how one can easily fall victim and not take the path of devotional service. So in this chapter 13, in the beginning verses, he's elaborating um, how the material world is compared to a forest. So, so we all know in the forest there will be no roads or streets or anything. Whichever path you go, sometimes you go in one path and then try to come back to the same path again. You don't know where you're going, which direction. So it's very dangerous, and there are also many dangerous animals. There are wild animals, so which can devour you anytime. But sometimes in the forest there are some jewels. Some people go to forest to find some rare things also. So in this material world is compared to a forest. Now Jadabharat is saying the all the living entities, this whole cosmic manifestation, the material universe, is like a forest. And now the Jiva souls, we are all traveling in this forest trying to find some rare jewels and something valuable. So starting from verse number 14, so today we'll see what Jadabharat is saying. So on this path, forest path of material life, he says that person is attached to father and mother. But father and mother, when they become old, they also leave the children, and then the children eventually they get attached to their own children. So, and then in that way, the attachment continues, uh, like generations after generations. So basically, the Prabhupada says here in the purport that so eventually after the death of father and mother, the children get married, and then they have their own children, and then this continues generation after generation. The attachment continues, and eventually no one wants to accept this spiritual progress of knowledge and renunciation, so which will end in the bhakti yoga process. So the principle, I mean the center of this attachment is yan maithunadi grahamedi sukamehi ducham. So the Bhagavatam says this attraction between man and woman, this principle of sex is basically the one which is this pulling this life after life in this cycle, and eventually they become very embarrassed. So and here King Rahugana, Jadabharat is saying that not only ordinary men, even great people like political leaders, the social heroes. So in this material world, there are many political leaders who lead the whole country. Who sometimes these social heroes like for sports people, movie heroes, and there are many popular people. even them, not just ordinary men, even them, they could not control their senses, and they could not subdue their senses. And then they may be able to fight with another nation. Like, for example, Russia fights with Ukraine, but their own leaders, they may not be able to fight, control their own senses. And that is the comparison Jadabharat is making here. So eventually, they will not be able to make any spiritual progress, spiritual path, and what to speak of accepting the renounce order. Even though they are big political leaders, they cannot take any spiritual realization. So here we can understand that in the Rupa Goswami says in the first verse of Nectar of Instruction, that who can be the guru of the whole world. He says one who can subdue, one who can tolerate the urges of Vacho Vegam, Manasa Krodha Vegam, Jivva Vegam, Udara Upastha Vegam, Itan Vegan, Sho Vishehita Dhiraha, Sa Prithivim Sa Sishyat. So in this material world, if all of these six urges, one who can tolerate, you know, then he's qualified to become a guru for the whole material world. So that means a real leader, So that means a real leader should first control all of his senses and tolerate the urges. So that is what Rupa Goswami says. And here Raghugana also saying, the king Jadabharat also saying the same thing. So even though they are big people, they won't be able to uh, control their senses. Eventually, they won't be able to lead the spiritual path. So, and then, so now here, Jadabharat is saying that the living entity, when they enter into the forest, they take shelter of creepers and desires to hear the chirping birds of the creepers. And then, being afraid of roaring lions in the forest, he makes friends with the cranes, herons, and vultures. So this is an allegory now Jadabharat is showing. This allegory will be described in the next chapter, what he means by all of these. So basically, Jadabharat is saying the living entity, they want to be, the creepers are compared here to the companion of the person, the wife. So the person wants to be in the embrace of wife, and they desire to um, satisfy by hearing their sweet voice. But however, when they become old, the roaring lions is compared to the death. So when the death approaches, they become very afraid, and and eventually they make friendship with cranes, herons, and vultures. So these are compared to bogus gurus, bogus swamis. They come and then they give some like cheating knowledge, and then they try to take some money away. All this happens in the material world, and then the person gets satisfied. Oh, I did something religious. All this goes on, and eventually the death catches the living entity. So and then by being cheated by all these people, the living entity even tries to give up the association of these so-called swamis, and then they come to the real association of devotees. So here it says that Hamsa Kulam. So Hamsa, we all know Paramhamsa is the great devotees. So the somehow or other, by giving the wrong association, the living entity will come to the right association of Paramahamsas. But because of their misfortune, Manda, Upadrutaha, misfortune, they just give up the right association. They could not follow the instructions of spiritual master. So, and then again and again, they again return to the association of this people who are after sense gratification. So here the Bhagavatam also says the Kali Yuga is filled with all the bad qualities. Manda sumanda matayo manda bhagya upadrutaha prayanu alpaishu. So the life is short, and the person is even unfortunate. Even if he gets something valuable, he just loses it. It's, he's very unfortunate. So here also, even coming to the good association of devotees, he becomes unfortunate and again goes back to the association of people who are like monkeys who run after sense gratification and women. So, and eventually they go after the intoxication and sex enjoyment and spoil their whole life until the end of death. So Vishmruta avadhi. So until the end of the death, this keeps on happening like a cycle again, again, again. So here also we can see that the essence, the central attraction is the attraction between the female and male. So, and then so just like the monkeys in the trees, they keep on jumping between one branch to another branch. So in the household life also, they just keep on doing this same sense enjoyment again, and then without any profit, they just waste their whole life. And Jadubharat, he very he animates this whole thing, and he says that one becomes helplessly conditioned in this position. So he just becomes a victim sometimes to some diseases, and then becomes as the body gets old, the person become very much afraid of death. So here so Valim Grihitva Gajabhita Astitaha. So Gaja means the elephant. So Gaja Bita, like the afraid, scared of. So in the forest there are elephants. So in this elephant here it's compared to uh, death. So and then he gets stranded. This elephant is cornering him. He gets stranded, and he's grasping the twigs and branches of the creeper. Basically, he's trying to take shelter of his wife and his family, but this death is after him. So here also we can understand that how graphically Jadubharat is trying to describe the whole life. Outwardly we may see that these people are very much happy. They have very palatial buildings, they have a great position, they are very much respected in the society, all that. But internally, this is what they are going after. Internally, they are being chased by this cruel elephant, Gajabitaha. So they're so much afraid of this elephant, which is death. And in order to forget their miseries, they again continue to live their existence like externally, outwardly, like an opulent person. So and then Jadubharat is saying that if he somehow or other gets out of his dangerous position, and again punascha shartam pravishati arindama. So again he basically gets, by the influence of illusory energy, he again gets absorbed in the uh, to homely life, and he enjoys his conditioned by the attachment of his sex life. So he does not discover his real interest even up to the point of death. Ataha. So from this, so we can understand that it's very, very difficult to come out of this cycle, the spell. Like, so the Lord's illusory energy, Maya, is so strong that it's very difficult to come out of this Maya Shakti. So unless one comes to surrender to the lotus feet of Lord Krishna, it is impossible to even get out of this attachment. So that's why Bhakti, Prabhupada is giving as association of devotees by the ISKCON movement, so that we can at least get the glimpse of what Bhakti is, and then we can take shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So Bhagavatam also says the real self-interest is Nate vidu svardhagatim sa Vishnum. So the Vishnu is the real self-interest, one who takes to the lotus feet of Lord Vishnu or Lord Krishna. That's the real self-interest. So in the Vedas also says Om Tad Vishnu Paramam Padam Sada Pashyanti Sorayaha. So one who is in knowledge can see Lord Vishnu everywhere in this cosmic manifestation. So and then going further, Jad is saying that you are also a victim of this external energy, Bahiranga Shakti. So now, out of his compassion, he is directly, Jad is directly saying, Rahugana, you are also a victim, and you think you are on the position of a king, you can punish others. You are asking these people to take this palanquin without giving them any remuneration. You're also a victim of this external energy. So now he's giving some direct instructions. So it's very much compassionate. He's giving some direct instructions to Rahugana. So he is asking them to be equal friend to all living entities. He is asking him to give up his kingly position and his danda by which he is punishing the criminals, and give up the attraction to sense objects, and take the sharp sword of knowledge sharpened by devotional service. So the jnana sharpened by devotional service, this is a very technical statement here. So jnana alone is not important. Jnana has to be accompanied by bhakti. So the jnana is basically a byproduct of bhakti, but when cultivating jnana, we have to do side by side bhakti. That way, the jnana becomes a tool which is used for bhakti. So jnana is not independent. Jnana is also bhakti. Like Krishna, Bhagavad Gita is also non-different from Krishna, but then we have to use it for Krishna. We have to utilize that knowledge for Krishna. Then it becomes anukulya Krishna anusilanam. So then here, that way, Jadbharat is saying that way you can cut this hard knot of illusory energy and go to the other side of the nescience. So the other side of ocean of nescience. So here also we can, when we recite the pranam mantras, Om Agyana Timir Andashya. So this is like the ocean of nescience to cross over. The Guru is basically helping us, and Guru is helping us by connecting us with the Lord Sri Krishna through the bhakti process. So the same is being recommended by Jad Bharat also here. So in Bhagavad Gita also, Krishna compares in the 15th chapter, he says this whole material world is compared to a tree. He says there is no one can understand where it begins, where it ends, where its foundation is. So this is here also Jada Bharat is comparing this whole material manifestation to a forest. So this comparison is very much appropriate, and then at the end, Lord Krishna says that one must cut down this tree with a weapon of detachment, and then by so doing, one must seek that place. Having gone, one never returns, and there surrender to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So basically, in this forest, we have to search how to get out of this very cruel forest. And same message, but Krishna is giving that we have to cut down this tree by detachment and bhakti process. So and then King Rahugana, again instructing, Jadabharat is instructing Rahugana and says, Now, King Raja Uvacha. So King Rahugana is speaking. So he heard all of this knowledge from Jadu Bharat. Now he's expressing his gratitude, and also he's asking Jadu Bharat to clarify this whole allegory and give a direct meaning. So this he's saying that now Rahugana he's giving his realizations that how this human birth is so rare, even exalted compared to even demigods. So in the heavenly planets, he's saying there is no possibility of associating with devotees. So he's basically saying this human body is so exalted. So in the Bhagavad Gita also, Krishna says, um, only in the association of devotees one can relish the glorification of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So in the if the demigods planet there is no possibility of association of devotees, then there is no possibility of relishing the bhakti process. So satam prashangam mamavirya samvido bhavanti krit karna rasayana kataha. So Bhagavatam also confirms the same message. And now Rahagana is saying that it's not at all wonderful that just by associating with Jadu Bharat and by his dust of his lotus feet, he is already attaining. One can attain the platform of pure devotional service, and that is even difficult for great demigods like Brahmaji. So such is the exalted position of devotees. And here Rahugana understands that, and he says that he is now freed from all argument. So in the beginning, he was arguing with Jadu Bharat, how is this possible? The soul, the body, when the body pains, the soul also. All this argument he was putting forward, now it seems that he completely he is freed from that argument tendency. He also lost all his false prestige. He was thinking he was a king and therefore he should punish, and all that lack of discrimination, everything. Now the king has come to his senses, and he's saying now he's free from all these problems. So just by associating with and hearing from Jadu Bharat, all this transformation happened. So now he offered his humble obeisances to Jadu Bharat, and he's also glorifying glorifying Jadu Bharat that by their mercy there be good fortune in the royal dynasties that are always offending them. So even though King Rahugana offended Jadu Bharat, he didn't take that insult. But these Avadutas are great devotees. They kind of disguise themselves. They walk on this planet. They give their mercy to all of the population. So now at the end, Sri Sukha Vacha. Now Sri Sukadeva Goswami is just telling Parikshit Maharaj that so after the Jadu Bharat was insulted by King Rahugana, there was a wave in his mind. There was a his mind was like so calm and quiet. Because of his immersement in bhakti, and he was so always meditating on the Supreme Personality of Godhead. There was a wave, meaning there was a little bit of a disturbance. But because he was a great Paramahamsa, again he came back to the same position. Now Jadu Bharat again started wandering all over the earth just like before. So, on the last two verses, verse number 25. So, after receiving all these lessons, now King Rahugana, he become completely aware of his constitutional position of the soul, which is very difficult to understand. And it was said here, he gave up his bodily conception completely. So, how great it is. And then, and then whoever takes shelter of the servant of the Lord is certainly glorified, because he can without difficulty give up his bodily position. So Sadhu Sangha is so much glorified here by just without any difficulty he gave up his bodily position. So Sadhu Sangha, Sarva Shastra Kaye, Lavamatra Sadhu Sangha, Sarva Siddhi Hoye. So he obtained his perfected position. So finally, King Parikshit is asking Sukadeva Goswami now to give the direct meaning so that everybody, even common people, could understand. So this concludes the end of this chapter. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, all devotees. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Granthra Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vranda ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you all devotees for joining. Hare Krishna.